What's up and good morning, guys? How are you? Welcome back to the first video, the very first video of 2025. Hopefully you guys had a good New Year's. Hopefully you guys had a good Christmas. Yeah, it was crazy here. We've been doing a lot. We spent a lot of time with the family. We took a lot of days off here and there, which has made it a little hard for content and videos. Plus, I'm getting over this weird little cold cough. You guys all know this fog rolled in and everyone got sick. I don't know, just saying, a little odd, a little suspicious. I'm getting over this little cold, so if you guys hear my voice a little bit different, a little bit off, I'm struggling. But we'll say those conspiracy theories for another day. Right now, yeah, we've rearranged this whole area here, but then it just turned into a disaster of just crap everywhere. And then we changed up the machine shop area, but that just turned into a disaster of stuff too. As you guys can see, we got some more racking here in the shop that just got assembled this morning. We got the 58 frame and the 63 frame out because those are our next projects coming up. Stay tuned for that video. But in the meantime, we are kind of buttoning up some other little miscellaneous projects and programming stuff that we got to do. So the guys are working on trying to get all the pallet racking kind of in its place. It just got assembled. We're trying to kind of configure it to where it's most beneficial to us. In the meantime, the guys are also cutting up a whole bunch of bushings over here, which you can see are just kind of flopping on the floor. Those are for Impala Y-bones, which Y-bones are back in production. Also good news. We are finalizing the final pieces for 65 through 70 Impala Wishbone, which I know you guys have been asking for a while, but it's kind of just get pushed on the back burner. But we are working on it. Actually, let me show you this, just so you guys know that we are working on it. I just did the first test cut yesterday. Let's move that out of the way so you guys can see it. So that is 65 through 70 Impala Wishbone. Here's the side pieces. You guys kind of see our first pieces are markings. We have markings on them just so we know where we're going to do our first initial bends. And then from there we'll remove those once the programs actually get settled in place. But this is going to be solid on top, solid on bottom with overlay on it and the logo built into it. So we are working on those. Bear with us. It does take a time. My whole goal with this is originally it was 65 through 70. Then we realized that 67s, 8s, 9s, and 70s were a little bit different than 65 and 66, which we didn't know that. But with a whole bunch of testing and trial and error, we end up finding that out. So we're trying to adjust for that and make them to where these will fit all across 65 through 70 Impalas by adding adjustments into it to correct the pinion angle. So I'm trying to add 1.5 inches to inch to 1.5 inches of adjustment in this wishbone, which is very tight and it's very tricky and still fit within everything. I could go on and on forever about how I've been trying to get this to work correctly, but I'm not going to bore you guys with that. You guys just want the product. I get it. I'm working on it, trust me. But let me show you guys what's going on in the machine shop. Then I'll show you why you guys are here for this main video, working on a gravity-fed tank. That looks good. Shoot. All right, now we got to find out where these are going to go. And the good news with the machine shop on this side over here, we have got power to this one, and we actually had to do a repair on it. So that part is already here. It was starting to get installed yesterday, but hasn't got finalized yet. And other good news is these two are up and running already. This one's actually already producing product, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, maybe not. Actually, yeah, I think it was. It was actually, I think it just finished up our HHT bottom legs. So that was already creating product, which is good. And then that one's already up and running too. So good news, those are all running. I got a custom 6-inch gravity fed tank I gotta make. I actually got a few of them I gotta make. But this is a custom motor, and I love these custom motors like this. This is for our good buddy over on Instagram, Mr. Pumps and Dumps. He does amazing work, beautiful work actually. And well, I gotta do a custom gravity fed tank. And well, that's my blueprint. Alright, so this is what we're working with here. I know This is like a drunken night in the bar on a cocktail napkin. I get it, but I understand it. It makes sense. Well, it's 29 inches overall from the tank. The tank itself is going to be a 6-inch tank, so it's going to be very similar to the A6 oxygen style. 6 inches in total. So it's a 6-inch diameter, 3-inch radius, and then we're going to have 4 ports coming out on the bottom. You're going to have a number 8 male JIC, 2 number 6 male JICs, and a number 8 male JIC with a big number 20 male JIC nut on the top side. And we're going to do in the center right here, we're going to do a sight glass. So let's get working on this. I started the measurements already, breaking these down. Here's my measurements. I got to get everything. So we're in the States, so we do everything in inches. So it's really hard for me to think in millimeters. So I do everything in inches first. So my tank itself, well, let's see. My cap here is 3 inches. 3 inches. Tank needs to be 29 overall. So 3 minus 3, or 3 and 3 is 6 minus 29 brings us to 23 inches. 23 inches converted to millimeters is 584.2 millimeters. So that is my center line. So I'm going to build everything off of center line here. So 584.2 millimeters is going to be our center line here. We're going to do 31.75 millimeter hole here, which is roughly 1.25 inches or so. That's going to be for the number 20 JIC. And yeah, my center line here, actually sorry, my center line is 292.1 millimeters. My overall tank was 584.2 millimeters. So you guys can kind of see it gets a little confusing. Number 8 JIC here, converting over into my center lines. So what I'm doing here is I'm dividing this out. Even though it's 4 ports, I'm dividing out in sections of 5. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in between that is going to be all of our division. So yeah, gets really confusing, but here's all my inches, plus I'm adding in a 0.47 for my offset of my gear, and from there that brings me out to 128.77 millimeters for the first one on a number 8 JIC, which is a radius of 10.9. It's a lot of math. It's a lot of math, and I'm horrible at math. Well, I was horrible at math like in high school and in college, but I say college, but like my 2 semesters that I did. But here, this is the funny part. Being here is one of those things where I'm like, you know, I remember back in the day, be like, when the heck am I ever gonna use that kind of stuff? Like, when am I ever gonna use an X and Y axis and a Z axis on, you know, my graphs when I was back in school? Well, I use it every single freaking day. Oh man, for all my teachers out there, you guys are right. And luckily, I did pay attention, but I'm also a quick learner. So I can also figure things out. You know, if I need to figure it out, I figure it out. Luckily, we got Google at the tip of our fingertips. So it makes things a lot easier. But yeah, let's get this programmed out. I started this on the computer already, so let me get the tripod here for you guys. You guys can watch the whole process of this, and we'll kind of start from 0. Alright, you guys can kind of see I buttoned up this tank. I had already started it before I actually started this video, so I was already halfway done with it. But I was able to knock it out. I was waiting for a text message for the actual dimensions, exactly what he wanted to break down as far as the measurements. But exactly what I did is exactly what he wanted, so it worked out perfect. But here is a simulation of what is going to happen as far as the cutting. You're going to have your main cutoff section where it's going to be right here. I'll true it up. We're going to start with port number 1, which is a number 8 JIC. That's coming in at 10.9 on the radius. So then these ones shrink down a little bit to 8.57. Then we have the cutout for the sight glass, which program that in easier than trying to cut this by hand. So then you got the big nut, another number 6 JIC, and then a number 8 JIC with the final. So this is just a simulation of the cutting. Obviously this tube would be solid and it's just showing you what it is, but this is my overall length of the extrusion. So I got everything situated here. So now we just gotta set this up to cut and cut some material real quick. This has all been trial and error for me. I didn't go to school for any of this stuff. I didn't go to school for the laser. I didn't go to school for the operating of or the programming of the CNC press brake, or the programming for the robotic welder, or the programming for this. This has all just been, hey, we're buying a machine, we gotta produce. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Especially on some of these bigger machines, you know, it's like it's a massive payment. So it was one of those things where like we need to produce product off of this, and we need to learn. So just like we have this new machine coming in pretty soon, I've already been starting at night. I do a lot of tutorials to 2, 3 in the morning. After I go home from work from here, I go home and do tutorials, figure it out, watch a lot of videos online, and just kind of get a basic concept of like the program and the layout and what button does what. And then from there I can kind of figure it out. You know, you have something we had to create, then you just learn. You just sit down and you got to put your mind to it and figure it out. And luckily for me, I've been able to, and I've been real lucky. Now, I'm not perfect at it. Now, there's some guys that are super quick at it. For me, it does take me a little bit of time, but I'm also new at all this. You know, I've had to learn all these machines in a matter of the last 2, 3 years. So definitely a learning curve for sure. But again, I'm nowhere near perfect on any of this stuff. There's a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of room to make it more efficient for myself, but I am making do with what I have here, which is great machinery, and I'm trying to learn the best I can. But we are producing products, so this is all done. Let me get this exported and transferred over for the laser, and we'll get this set into the laser, and hopefully get a test cut today. So now we gotta get this door opened up here. So right here we have our tube laser cutting side. Normally you guys see me post a lot of like the actual plate side of it, but I don't really post too much, you know, here and there of the tube stuff. Normally because honestly it's so quick that we knock it out in like a day, and all of our tube cutting that we need for that month is knocked out in a day or two. So normally don't post too much of it, but it is right here. We'll get you guys going, show you guys a little bit on it. And again, this isn't like a tutorial or nothing like that. Just kind of showing you what is going on today. All right, so we got this guy all homed up now. We gotta get our material in here. I had the guys pre-cut me a section, so we'll get the material loaded up, get a first test cut going in there, get it all set up, and just see how it goes from there. We might have to make some adjustments, but we'll see. We're gonna do a dry run real quick just to check, make sure everything's functioning and working the way it's supposed to be. The cool part about cutting with nitrogen on this one is I can pretty much grab it. It's not really hot. You can see the cuts are nice and clean. This thing actually came out really, really good. So yeah, I chose to cut with nitrogen on this one, just because nitrogen is actually a better cutting gas for this, especially when I'm going to do a lot of TIG welding on this. What it does is it eliminates all the oxygen, so you don't have any porosity that could possibly happen. Obviously, you got to still clean it up a little bit. We'll still fly and sand down when we need to, but it works a lot better. Definitely a lot cleaner cut. Almost zero slag on this guy. Dialed in, baby. Okay, so we got the tank all done and all cleaned up. We're all cut up, I should say. I cut a secondary one just to have a spare, just in case, but here it is.
Hoppos on Detroit.
My hands are shaking and vibrating right now. 2 hours of this will make your hands tingle like you got needles in your hands. But so far, it is looking really good. I had one little spot that didn't really pop up to the very, very end. It was like 2 little pits that I didn't want to take a chance on, so I took out like a 3-inch section. I hit it with a die grinder and refilled it back in. But other than that, it looks good. I'm gonna do a few little touch-ups. I'm gonna sand this a little bit more just to get a better finish on it before I TIG everything. But yeah, it looks good so far. So here's the bottom right now. And you're gonna kind of notice this is center, but these are offset. All offset off of center, just because of gears and everything. So gears always offset just a little bit on gravity fed gears, but we got everything lined up for the site. Everything's all molded up, cleaned up. So we're gonna hit this with a final. Once we do a final, we'll get all these little small imperfections out of here. But I mean, it feels super smooth, so I'm very happy with that. Gravity fed tanks, these guys are no joke, man. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, but they're fun. If you do it right and you get it all perfect, it looks absolutely amazing. And especially like this size right here, because this isn't very common in gravity fed. This is very common in the aircraft style, like the A6 oxygen tanks, but this one with a sight glass in it, with the porting and the big nut, is gonna look freaking fire. You can kind of see when the lighting hits at a certain, like there's little small nicks, but honestly, like you can't feel it, you can just see it. So that's gonna come out with a little more sanding. Everything else feels really good. Normally you run your hand like this, and if you feel any imperfections, you can address it, but this thing is actually smooth. Like if you close your eyes, you can't feel anything. Oh, there's a little, oh, that's just like a little, see a little dot? We gotta hit that, sand that out just a little bit more. There's a few little nicks, but those are gonna come out once I hit it with a finer grit. Right now, this is only a 80. Once we break it down a little bit more in this, then we'll be good. Now that I'm looking like a tin man, I rub the crap out of this freaking tank. We'll wash up, blow up my nose because I got a lot of metal dust in my nose, and then we'll hit it again with some sandpaper. probably not the right time to do this right now. It's like a do or die situation. I don't want to mess this up, but at the same time, I got announced a tick today, so we're gonna try it out. Alright, we got that all welded up. Nice and tight little tigs. Most likely those are going to be grinded off anyways and chromed. But at least they look good from here right now. So next step we're going to work on the sight glass section. So the sight glass is actually going to sit recessed inside there. Like that. So it's still going to slightly stick out just a little bit, but not completely sticking out all the way. So give it a nice flush look. The only thing I'll kind of protrude out would be the top corners, just because it's rounded, but this should look good. I'm gonna finish designing this up real quick, and then we'll work on this. Sorry for all the noise. The guys are still cleaning up around the shop right now. Still trying to make work, or trying to make space so we can work better. See, they're scrapping a whole bunch of stuff right now. Trying to get that sight glass programmed up real quick. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get it bent up today, but I might be able to do it in a multiple 3 section just because they're bending on the bender right now. And I kind of want to try to dial this in and get this done today. I don't know how far I'll make it. We're already getting towards the end of the day. Spent way too long on this tank, but it looks good though. I just did a quick little program real quick. Here's my center to center on my sight glass, and then this is going to be the radius. So it's a 6-inch radius on it, but I got about an inch here, which that's what I'm estimating it's going to be at. It might be a little big just because of the thickness of this material, but we could always finesse that as we need to. But I believe this should be pretty close to it. I'm trying to fight time here. It is 3:58 here, so trying to get this done before the end of the day. Saved, file, export, USB, 6-inch gravity fed tank, sight glass, save. All right, let's get this pulled out. Sight cut opened up real quick just because I had it on the tube cutting side, so let's get this transferred over to the plate cutting side, and we'll get this cut up. It's getting cut up right now. The purple line here, I'm just doing it as a reference line just for bending, just to get it as close as we can on the first try. Obviously I got 3 here. I got 2 tanks. I got our first test bend that we're gonna probably have to do, so just in case there's an extra one in there if we have to. Got this guy all welded up. Sight glass is in. Well, sight glass bracket is in. We just gotta mold this up now. All right, guys, we got the sight glass officially in. Oh man, that was a lot of sanding, a lot of work. Obviously, you guys saw we welded this whole section in here, and well, that started off originally as a piece similar to this. You can see here, that was a test bend here. We did end up using this one because I see a little flare out at the bottom, so we end up scrapping these. So this is actually scrap here, but we end up making a new program with a little cut relief on the corners, here, pretty much all 4 corners. But this is looking super good. The last thing that's needed is just a final sand, and then we also just gotta weld in the lower bungs here, which the lower bungs are pretty simple. Customer requested number 8 number 8 hose. So number 8 AN, or what you guys are used to, or number 8 JIC. So just like that. And these would be number 6, and then these would be number 8. So these are just a matter of getting them straight. This is gonna be a little tricky because they're 2 different sizes. So I'm gonna have to get these straightened out. They have a little wiggle to them. So we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna do that. But we'll get these all straightened out, tigged in, and this tank will be done. We are done. 2 pieces to the puzzle. The last 2 are done. Hold on. Dang, hopefully I wasn't filming that was dirty the whole time. But thank you guys for liking, sharing, subscribing. Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button if you guys watched this whole video. If you guys did watch this whole video, I do appreciate you guys. Gonna try to be consistent, guys. I'm gonna try to be consistent. I appreciate you guys all. Love you all. We'll see you guys in the next video. Kind of give you an idea of what's going on here. Boom. Boom. Lots of welding coming up. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Hop in the whip and I hit these switches, see that chrome suspension. Look at the car, you know who did it, I don't have to mention. They know it's Alex from Hoppos, 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 Hoppos. Custom work come from Hoppos, Hoppos, Hoppos. I'm Rob Taylor, 504. For anybody that gotta know, Alex stay with fresh content and he keep it coming like a slideshow. Never cut corners far as I know, but he